Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us on Live with Laura. Today, I'm here with Kara Melendy. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to her. She is so amazing. She's been a wonderful mentor to me and integral in my own personal development. She is a goddess mentor and astrologer, and here to share some of her modalities and her own journey too for how she's gotten to the place she is today, which is really inspiring and encouraging other women to find this within themselves. So if you guys could take a minute to share this out, everybody that shares gets put into, their name gets put into a little bowl, my singing bowl actually, to get their names pulled for a free session with me. So I am sending this out on my page.
And I'm going to share it as well.
Sarah. And just give us some hearts and some likes if you could. Hi, Krista. Thanks so much for joining. Laura's here. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you. So I'm going to actually pull a name now, Kara, because I always forget to do this, and then I sign off. So, this is from our last live, which was 2 weeks ago because I was on vacation last week. Woohoo!
Fun.
So I'm just going to pull a name now for who won the free session from last time. Teresa Warren.
Oh, cool.
She's such a beautiful soul. Teresa, I am going to tag you and send you a private message. So don't forget, guys, if you want a free session, please share this out on your pages. And I want to just take a moment to introduce Kara and ask her to share a little bit about her journey. I met Kara, what was it, Kara, like a year and a half ago, maybe?
I think so. Yeah. Has it been that long? Probably.
No, but I was a hot mess when I came to you. I was not feeling well, and I was just like, oh, in a bad way, and really just diving in to this new world of energy healing and spiritual healing and trying to learn about it. And I was just very naturally drawn to Kara and her energy and her enthusiasm. And I have to say, if there's one phrase that I think describes Kara, it's just completely unconditionally loving. And I really, really needed that. Don't we all need that, right? Is to have that person in our lives, especially a mentor. And she's really guided me and inspired me so beautifully. So Kara, thank you so much for joining us today. And I was hoping that maybe you could share a little bit about yourself and your own journey and how you got to this point.
Sure. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And that's so kind of you to say. That's nice words. It's amazing to just have that support on our journey. And I think we all need that. We all need support. So yeah, to share a little bit about my journey. Oh my goodness, where to begin? So similar to you, Laura, I actually have a background in mental health. That's where my journey, I guess, somewhat began, at least in terms of the career element. I just was always really drawn to understanding human behavior, understanding the mind, and then having this deep desire to help people and be of service. And I think a lot of like light workers and star seeds, we come in, right, with just this knowingness that I'm here to be of service. I chose to be here at this time, and there's like something special I'm here to give to the world, even if we don't always know what that looks like. And I remember being a kid and always really just feeling that desire. And also just my own struggles too, like with anxiety, eating disorders, many things along my journey that just led me to want to help myself, basically. And then as I was able to get more empowered and feel more confident and well in who I am, wanting to help others and wanting to share that and pass that along. So I did end up doing my training in psychology, working as a psychotherapist for a while. And eventually, and I think this always happens, we get pulled back to like where our soul is meant to be and what our soul work is meant to be. And for me, I think it was always being more of like that spiritual guide and working within the energetic space. And I love my training in psychology, and I still draw on some of those tools today. But my true love is doing like the work with the astrology, doing work within the space of the Akashic Records. And then what I'm going to share with everyone today, doing more of like the energy side of psychology, the EFT component and the tapping, because I think we like to share as well what's been helpful on our journey. And tapping and EFT continues to be something that's huge for me in bringing about healing and helping me shift my energy. And just being able to explore the space of the Akashic Records as well it's such like an element of healing healing that happens just entering that space. And I think it comes from being reminded of who we really are on a soul level, like who we are beyond like the stories and the limitations we've created in this journey. It brings us back to our truth again. So yeah, I guess that's like my story in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that you share that part about really empowering ourselves, right? That we can find these tools. And that's why I'm doing these shows, right? Is so that people at this point in their journey where they're saying, I don't really know how to navigate this healing world and this, how to do this on my own. Like you said, you kind of started to explore doing this on your own. And that's how I got into it too, is saying, well, the medical world's helping me to a degree. The therapy world's helping me to a degree, but I wanted more. I kept being called to, I want to be my best self, right? And so exploring these alternatives. And I love that, as much as I feel my work as a therapist has been very effective and very powerful, I also feel there's a deeper subconscious, energetic, and cellular level of healing that exists in this work that I haven't been able to get to as deeply as a therapist.
Yeah, I agree, right? A lot of the therapy stuff is very much like in the space of the mind. And there's such a place for that. Like for me, learning to work with my thoughts and beliefs and like understand the power that has and like determining my life experience. And that was a big part of working with anxiety that actually helped me shift that a lot, was looking at, okay, like what are my core thoughts and beliefs that are actually leading me to feel anxious, and then having the tools to be able to shift that and challenge that and realize like our thoughts and beliefs, even though sometimes they feel so powerful and permanent, they're not. And we have the ability to like rewire our brain to call in new thoughts. And that's where I think like some of the deeper energetic work comes in as well. Where like, okay, I can't always just do this from the space of like the intellect and the mind. I have to shift this on a deeper energetic level. And that's where the long-term change really starts to unfold as well.
I think especially when people get stuck, like when people really get stuck in a pattern of emotional ups and downs, or even physical for me was as well, really stuck, and you've tried X, Y, and Z and it doesn't seem to be lifting. I feel like there's like a deeper thread there that needs to be explored or released. And that's why I love tapping too, because it takes the edge off initially to kind of allow you access to a little bit more of what might be kind of hiding under there.
Oh, absolutely. And I find that tapping too really connects us into the wisdom of our body. Like our subconscious is often expressed in our body, and even like how we're feeling physically is so key when it comes to like what we're creating and manifesting in our life too. Like, do we have the energetic capacity to hold what we desire? What does our body needing from us? And I think EFT or tapping, I use them they're interchangeable, right? For anybody that's new to that, EFT is emotional freedom technique, or it's often shortened to tapping, but they're both referring to the same thing. And it really does help combine like the intellect and the mind and what's maybe going on in your experience that you want to verbalize. And it brings that together with the physical, like what's happening in your body, right? And it helps bridge the two. And there's so much power in bringing the two together. Like that, yeah, tapping was one of the things I studied from like the energy psychology and energy realm that really stuck with me and really resonated, because I always I would try different things, and tapping was when I really felt like, okay, like I feel the shifts within me. This is something that resonates and feels right for me. So I love being able to continue to share that today and like see the shifts that can happen instantly, because that's the other beautiful thing about tapping is you can experience the change right away, right? Whether you're like stressed or overwhelmed and you need like that instant release, it can give you that. And then it can also do the deeper work of actually like rewiring your subconscious and help you see things in a new light. So it brings both together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've learned that a lot too, is how much using our physical bodies as a tool is productive in accessing what it is that we need to release or what it is we need to process. And tapping is one way. I've also used, obviously exercise is another, yoga, breathing is another way that we use our bodies. Mudras is another way we use our bodies. But I think anything, our physical bodies really being this vessel that's carrying our souls in this lifetime, right? It was provided to us as a tool. So EFT is one way that we really do, like you said, feel that immediate response. Can you explain a little bit more about tapping and kind of what it looks like? And
Yeah, absolutely. I saw Jasmine's comment there. I never knew what that stood for. Yeah, I know. Sometimes we see these abbreviations, right? And we're like, what does that even mean? There's so many of them. Yeah, so it is an energy psychology technique, and you're basically using your hands to activate different acupressure points in your body. And with tapping, it's done in a specific sequence, and there has been research and studies behind it that show like doing that sequence actually shuts off the fight, flight, or freeze response. And that's like that panic response that we don't want to be in, right? But that can so easily kind of be triggered in our society, whether we're driving or we just like we're stressed meeting a deadline, or sometimes we can even like kind of chronically get stuck in that fight or flight response if we just feel very overwhelmed, or like we have a lot to do and we're finding it hard to keep up with. And when we're in that space, we can't access our creativity as easily. Or our body can break down, right? And that's when we can get sick as well. Like we want to shift out of that so we are able to be in our full creative power. So tapping really helps to do that by shutting off like that fight, flight, or freeze response and helping you see things more clearly. And because it connects, you're using words to kind of verbalize how you feel, what's going on in your life, and you're combining that with what you're experiencing physically, it brings the two together. And a beautiful thing with tapping too, it's actually been used a lot. I think it initially came in to do work around trauma. Yeah. Because sometimes when we recall a certain event, right, it can be, it's like it's triggered again. We're triggered again to be back into that space. But with tapping, we're actually shifting the energy. So you're exploring things in your life that may usually cause a stress response, but you're calming the body down. So you're letting your body know that it's safe to now process this. It's safe to now see it in a new way. So when we're in that relaxed state, that's when we can form like those new neural pathways in the brain. So our beliefs are starting to shift, our bodies more relaxed, so creative ideas flow in. And yeah, it's just really beautiful how it can bring the two together. And when we talk about like from the energetic standpoint, when our body's in that space of releasing the stress, it's like we return to who we really are at a soul level, which is that pure love, which is a higher vibration. And when we're activating that energy, what we're drawing in is just so different as well. So it can basically change like all aspects of our life, right? It's just a very powerful tool to have with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of really giving yourself the message through it that you're safe in your body. Mm-hmm. You know, that we are safe here in our physical bodies. Of course, when we're talking about trauma, it's reminding you you're not back in that space that was traumatic, et cetera. But even just the general message of I'm not safe, and you know, that I am safe in my body, you know, and reminding you. But the other thing that I often get from some of my clients is I don't believe these things that we're saying, right? Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily believe these mantras or these affirmations, the positive ones. And, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Kara. But what I usually say too is that what's beautiful about energetic meridian and, you know, really releasing at a physical level and getting underneath that, the surface, you're integrating those affirmations at a subconscious level, whether or not you believe them. And you're starting to almost pattern that within your mind, right? To replay and rewire those tapes that we might be used to or old stories.
Yeah. Oh, I love how you describe that. That's beautiful. So powerful. I agree. And yeah, I've heard, I think that's like a main objection sometimes people have. They're like repeating it and they're like, but I don't believe it. And I mean, I felt that too. I think we've all experienced that. It's in some level, right? And it's, I kind of approach it in a like different ways or different things that help, just depending on like the situation for me or what's coming up. But if I don't believe something I'm saying, I think like that's an opportunity too when we make that connection in our body and we're like, I'm saying it, but part of it, my body's like not believing it or feeling safe within it, is even to dig a little bit deeper and see like what part of me is rejecting that? Why am I not believing this, right? Like, is it ultimately true that this can't happen? And just kind of become really curious, right, about digging into the belief so we are able to really shift it. Or too, like bringing in kind of the spiritual component, it's like, maybe what part of me does believe and know this is true? Because I think like ultimate truths that we're affirming, right? Like knowing we're powerful creators, I can attract the life I want. Maybe a part of me doesn't believe that, but the larger part, my soul, my spiritual self, knows that it is true, knows that this is possible for me. And that's the part we really want to dig into, right? And really see is like that part that knows. Because when something really feels true on a soul level, it does just feel expansive and we just know it, even if there's a part of us that's resisting it. And then the tapping can really help take some of the fear or resistance away that's around you, fully stepping into that belief as well. Because it really, we talked about the trauma side, and any part of us though, so usually if we're not allowing ourselves to like manifest or create something we desire, there's a belief on some level that it's not safe for us to have it. Like when we really get down to the surface, it's like we're still, in these human bodies, we're driven by safety. We want to keep ourselves safe. So if we can get down to the core of like what part of me believes something bad will happen, right? If I do feel well, if I do attract the money I want or have the relationship that I want, whatever we want to create, is there a part of me that actually feels it's not safe to have it? And when we can get down to that and start to shift and help our body and our mind and our energy feel that it's safe for me to have the experiences I want, so many things will shift in our life. It's very powerful practice.
Yeah, and that's why I actually encourage journaling after you tap too, because it does remind us of those things that our soul already knows, that we already have within us. And so it's like, allow that to just spill out. Now that we've taken some off the top and we've freed up some space, right? Use that time, use that space to be able to just let it flow. Automatic writing, just free writing, whatever comes to your mind. And then you can get to some of that deeper stuff. The other thing that I want to mention too is one of the things you were saying was, if you get stuck on an affirmation or you get stuck on the sayings, that you kind of explore that. The other thing that I do is I really try to focus on physically where I'm feeling stuck. So if we're going through the tapping points and I feel like, oh, it's really tender there, right? It's feeling really tender, or here it's feeling really tender or something. Sometimes what I'll do is I will kind of go forward a little and then I'll go back, and tap on those, because I know that's something I need to return to continue to release, or I'll stay there and just keep going because I'm like, obviously that needs more attention. And is that aligned with my chakras? Is it aligned with my physical body? But is there something physically that I'm holding that's kind of trapped there?
Oh, it's so powerful. I love that you mentioned that, because I find that so powerful in helping people through that process. Or even in the space of the records, I'll do the same thing. Actually, if we're doing like healing or clearing work, I'll ask like where somebody is feeling that within their body, because that's huge when you can start to identify like, oh, I'm holding tension in my stomach or in my chest, and just dig a little bit deeper. Is that triggered to a certain memory? Or like you said, is that related to a certain chakra, right? And it's not uncommon if you're doing like power work or being more confident to feel that in your stomach, right? The solar plexus, like stepping into your willpower. So there's so many connections that can come through and clarity that can come through when we start to make that connection within ourselves of where am I feeling this experience in my body? Because so often we don't. It's like we're living life from here up. We're so in our heads. And when we just like sink down, like, how is that in your body, right? Like, how are you experiencing that physically? Where is that anxiety? Where is that resistance? It's just a different way to kind of shift the energy.
Yeah, so do you want to jump in and try one now and we'll show everybody what it looks like?
Absolutely. Yes, I would love to. Yes. And I'm thinking for today, I definitely encourage everybody to tap along with me, because that's where you'll get the most benefit. And as always, if there's something that I'm saying or a phrase I'm saying that just doesn't resonate with you, fill in your own words. You're welcome to do that, or you're welcome just to repeat what I'm saying. And yeah, this will be a little bit of a sample of how you can work with tapping. And for today as well, instead of doing the karate chop point, sometimes I use what is known as the karate chop point to do a setup statement, just kind of feel into the energy. But today I'm thinking we're just going to go through the main points, and you can do both in your work with tapping. Sometimes the karate chop statement just helps you really sink into the energy a little bit more of what you want to step into and clear. But where we've already been kind of talking about this, and it's already probably activated some energy for people that you're ready to shift. So we're really going to focus on awakening to your goddess power today, just stepping into more confidence and releasing any beliefs, any energy, any limitations that are not a match to you being able to do that with ease. So, all right, so just start with closing your eyes and take that moment to really tune into your body and take a few deep breaths to really help ground yourself. So inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, and allowing yourself to be fully present in the here and now, taking this time for you. And as you focus in on your heart space, really call to mind how you want to feel in this moment. Maybe you want to step into more joy, more love, more ease, more flow, and really feel that emotion. Really step into that energy of what you want to create. And notice if there's any resistance in your body around fully stepping in and activating that energy. And if it is, just hold that intention that it'll be released and cleared, and take a deep breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes, and we're going to go through the main tapping points and just repeating after me. Awakening to my goddess power. Choosing to feel confident and strong. To rise above any challenges that come my way. I choose to remember how worthy I am. Worthy of love. Worthy of joy. Worthy of creating my dream life. And I'm choosing to release any doubts and fears, any thoughts and beliefs, and any energetic patterns that are not in alignment with me feeling confident and strong. And I release them now on a deep cellular level. And I return to the truth in my heart. That I am a powerful creator. That I am supported and loved. And just take a deep breath here. The breathing helps move the energy. That the universe has my back. That good things can flow into my experience. I am open to being supported by the universe. I am open to growing through love and joy. And I'm choosing to release the struggle and the overwhelm. And to step into more joy, ease, and flow. I allow good things to come my way. I allow myself to be supported. I remember that I am worthy because I exist. Worthy of manifesting a life that lights up my soul. I allow good things to flow into my experience. And I choose to radiate love, joy, and compassion. All right, and just take a deep breath. Exhale. And sinking back into your heart space. And just notice how your body's feeling now after that few rounds of tapping. Once again, returning to how you want to feel, how you want to show up, really claiming those emotions. And asking your angels and guides to help you release anything that's not a match to how you want to feel, how you want to show up. I'm taking one more deep breath. And exhale. And opening your eyes when you're ready. All right. How was that, Laura?
I feel so relaxed and just kind of like a little buzzy. Like my face always feels a little buzzy. I also have had a headache this morning. So I was very tender right here. And to answer Jasmine's question, she said, do we tap using certain fingertips or all the fingers fine to use? I mean, depending on the EFT practitioner you talk to, depends on the answer you'll get. I tend to be an aggressive tapper because I'm used to it. I do it all the time. And I really love to feel that release. And so I use like 4 fingers and I just go nuts, except right here. Like I only use 2 because it's kind of tiny. But, I think that you can use 1 finger, you can use 2, you can use 3 or 4. It's up to you. And also the intensity at which you tap is kind of depending on your comfort level. I find that a lot of people, especially people who are holding a lot of trauma in their bodies, tend to be very physically sensitive to tapping. They feel very scared and they tend to get very teary and almost panicky at the beginning. And what we do is we kind of start with 1 point at a time, just very, very lightly. They start to just get comfortable with, okay, I'm putting pressure on this meridian, on a certain part of my body. And, we kind of breathe through each point a little bit slower. But it's at your discretion, really.
Yeah, beautifully said. Absolutely. Yeah. Whatever works for you, right? And that may change depending on the day. And there's definitely practitioners that'll just even tap using 1 hand. So it really is just dependent upon what feels right for you, what your body's needing that day. Part of the beauty of tapping is really being able to sink in and listen to what your body's needing. So if there is resistance, if a point in your body is tender, just really learning to honor that and pay attention and even exploring what that means. And that's where it is really powerful. And to do that alongside a coach or a mentor that can hold that space and support you and looking at like what's coming up for you around that and digging in a little bit deeper, because that's where the transformation unfolds too, when we're not just bypassing it, but we're like, oh, okay, there's something to learn here. There's something to explore and we can really shift it.
Well, and I think that when we're when we're tapping in the sisterhood or in a private session, which we can talk about the sisterhood in a minute, which is the Spiritual Goddesses Sisterhood that Kara has, that I'm a part of. But, when we do it there, sometimes what we'll do is, we'll tap through, and then after we tap through, it brings something up.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll bring something up like, oh, well, now I'm feeling this, or this affirmation really resonated with me or really hit a chord. And then Kara will say, okay, let's dive in again and kind of address that, And so that's what's nice about doing it interactively, one-on-one with somebody, rather than just say, oh, I'm watching a video and kind of filling it in, because you can tailor it and say, oh, wait, this came up and maybe that's what it was really about. But now we're done with our tapping. And what do I do now? Yeah.
For sure. And it's not uncommon to start, like I've had this, of course, like in guiding women in the sisterhood or one-on-one, or even just doing my own tapping with like coaches that I've worked with too, where I think we're starting to tap on one thing and I realize it goes to a whole other, I don't want to say issue, but sometimes a whole other memory or a whole other event that doesn't even seem related to what we initially tapped on. So it's super powerful when that can happen as well. And because that means you're getting down to the core of what is going on, right? And that's when you can really start to shift as well.
It looks like Lou has a question. I need to burp, but it's stuck.
Oh, it can move energy, so that could be.
That's what Jasmine actually just said. She just came in with that. Absolutely. No, it can. I mean, it could be this tapping point right here at your collarbones. I'm not sure where you're feeling it. If you're feeling it kind of closer up into your throat area, or if you're feeling it down here on these 2 areas. If you feel something stuck, is it your throat chakra? Is it, this tapping point closer to your heart chakra? Deep breaths, Krista says.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, deep breaths. Yeah. And sometimes even just continuing to tap as well can actually just shift the energy. Sometimes that's what we need too when things come up. It's like, well, just keep tapping, just talk through it. And if you're feeling that, of course, there's a time to pause and reflect and honor your body. But sometimes it is like just digging a little bit deeper and continuing to shift the energy there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can think about it as almost like if you're doing any kind of qigong and you do like any of the shaking or the bouncing, to kind of shake up the energy within your body. that if you're tapping at a certain point and you feel like, oh, I feel like I have a burp, but it's stuck, stay there. That's what's nice about doing it for yourself. Is you can just stay there at that point and just continue to shake it up, because that's kind of what you're doing when you're tapping. Like you need more tapping to break it up. And I find that people who leave a tapping session and feel, yeah, well, I didn't feel anything, or I'm still feeling weird, or I feel worse, means that they need to tap for longer. I mean, actually, in energy psychology, the recommended length of time to do tapping is 15 minutes, which is a long time. It's a really long time. I have to be honest, I don't know that I've ever tapped straight for 15 minutes. Maybe with like little breaks in between, but that's a long time. But really, that is what's recommended, you know, is to sit with it for 15 minutes. And we just did a few rounds, which was what, maybe 2-3 minutes?
2-3 minutes, yeah.
Applying that by 5, you can see how, you know, you really do need that consistent pressure if you're feeling stuck.
Definitely. Yeah. The longer you tap in, and that's very different to everyone too. And I find this with all techniques. It's like sometimes the more we do it, the easier it is to sink into it. So where I tap more often now, I find I can do just a few rounds and feel like that shift more quickly. And it's the same, like even using the Akashic Records, it's like the more I access that space, the more easy it is to access. So it's kind of like as our body gets used to and trusts a certain technique or energy, it's easier to access it as well. So yeah, just trusting that too. But yeah, sometimes the longer we tap, the more shifts we experience. And it's something else that's just coming through that I probably feel called to share too. If anybody's like stuck on something in their life that's coming up for you now that you're ready to kind of move past or beyond, tapping is great to shift out of that. And sometimes I'll even forget, because I use this modality so often, like in the Goddess Sisterhood or doing one-on-one work, that sometimes I forget to like use it on myself. And I'm like, Kara, like you have this technique, tap if something's really bothering me, like if it was an interaction in a relationship or something that I just like my mind keeps wanting to repeat that loop. I'm like, okay, let's just like tap this out, because it permanently kind of shifts the energy around that situation and it just helps you release it. So I really suggest, like, if there's something going on in your mind and you feel like you're reliving it, tap around it, because it's probably meaning some of that energy like associated with that experience or that memory is still trapped in your body, and energy doesn't want to be trapped. It wants to flow. So tapping will bring about that flow in energy for you.
Yeah. And I love that you share that, because even people who tap all the time, I'm always reminding them, well, did you tap around it? And they'll say, oh my gosh, I completely forgot, you know, because you get so used to either, you know, your day-to-day life or helping other people do it that you forget. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I can do that.
So true. Yeah.
You mentioned the Akashic Records, Kara. Can you share a little bit about that and the work that you do in the records?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I love the Akashic Records. I find, as you do as well, and I know so many people tuning in today, I mean, it was life-changing for me initially doing a session in the Akashic Records. It kind of brought a whole change in my business. That was part of what shifted me from more of like the mainstream work I was doing with counseling or around stress management into the spirituality. It just kind of like organically shifted after that, like awaken what my soul was here to do. So it was just that powerful experience. And then I felt guided to do a certification myself. And I think where I really felt pulled to the records, it's so amazing because there's so much you can do within that space. So it's basically tapping into like your unique journey of the soul, your unique soul blueprint. It's also a way to really access your angels, your guides, tap into your higher self. And there's so much potential around the healing work that you can do in the Akashic Records. Like I love to accompany it with tapping. Like imagine experiencing, right, EFT when you're in the records and you're receiving that healing and that support from your angels and guides. You're connected to your higher self. Or I also do astrological readings, and I love exploring people's birth chart and astrology well in the space of the records because it just adds to like the information that flows through. So it's so much you can do with the records. So yes, and then I offer just readings of that space where I love to do a lot of clearings and activations with people if they're stuck in a certain area of their life, they're having trouble manifesting or creating something. Being in the space of the records is a great way to easily shift and clear your energy and to really activate what you want to step into. And I find in the records, the clearings I do aren't always tapping either. We'll do tapping, but often I'll just be divinely guided to and guide people through my words through a certain like meditation and clearing that helps them really release those old patterns. So it's, yeah, it's so beautiful to work within that space.
Well, and what I love the most too is that when you're in that space, no matter whether you have questions to ask or somebody has information for you, you're automatically receiving healing while you're in that space. And unconditional love and comfort. And it's like you're just getting a giant hug, you know, and getting taken care of in that space. And, you know, when I first started working with the records, I remember feeling like I don't have anything coming to me and I don't really know what this space is about. And I really did need somebody to guide me. You know, I really needed somebody to guide me for a while to help me understand, you know, what this space is about. What can I use it for? What do I have access to here? What does it feel like? And I can honestly say that it's like a muscle. It's like Kara said earlier, the more often you access it, the more it comes more easily to you. The more you can kind of get into the records even without a ritual a lot of the time, because you're so used to accessing that space that you can shift your vibration into that more automatically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And it's something we all have access to. So I love helping women be able to step into that space and just, you know, probably my favorite thing to do there is helping people connect to their higher self and remember who they really are beyond the limitations and programs and stories we create, right? Just by being in these physical bodies, right? We create these stories on how we see the world, who we are, who other people are. And when we're in the records, it's like it kind of puts it all in perspective. And we really clearly see what isn't a match to who we are, what isn't a match to pure love, and what thoughts and beliefs are coming from that space of fear, and being able to shift out of that and walk into our truth. And when we connect into that, it's no limits on what we can accomplish and what we can call in when we're in alignment with that flow of energy and our truth. It's just such a beautiful experience that everybody needs to have.
Oh, absolutely. I firmly believe that. And that's why I'm so appreciative of the sisterhood that you have, Kara, because for me, when I started out in the Akashic Records, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I needed guidance. And what's so cool, I mean, it's a ridiculous level of value being in the sisterhood, because Kara each week takes us into the records on a live, and she guides us through tapping. She'll guide us through different journeys in the records, whether we're going into past lives or exploring physical density or any kind of anxiety. I mean, you name it, and she has a video for it that she has like taken us through. She teaches you, when I have X issue, I can go into the records and ask these questions. And she really guides you on how to use it. And the other reason it was so good for me is because it helped me become more disciplined. So I was like, okay, now every single week, I know at least once a week, I'm going to be entering the records. Right. I'm going to be doing this and taking this time for myself and practicing this and getting used to this vibration. And, you know, I creating this more of an intimate relationship with my guides, right, and my higher self. And so that's the other piece for me, is it kind of kept me on top of things and kind of forced me to say, okay, this is something I've committed to. This is something I'm doing. I'm going to show up every week and I'm going to do this. And it helped me kind of gain momentum and stay on track.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love hearing that. Yeah. The Goddess Sister is my membership site that I have, where exploring the records really is the foundational piece, but we do so much in that space. It's actually all about co-creation and learning how to really master manifestation. And exploring the Akashic Records is so crucial in that. For the reasons I said, it kind of brings us back to our truth, our soul. And when we learn how to connect with that, it's just nothing we can't accomplish or step into in our life. And then I love that I'm able to kind of bring in the astrology piece too, which is just another part of remembering who we are, looking at the bigger picture, remembering our divine blueprint. And it's so nice to have these different tools that can help us on the journey and the support. And like you said, the accountability, I feel we all need that, because it's so much information out there that's available to us. But I find when we like join a group that resonates with us, or whether it's a course, it's like we're committed. It's kind of like, okay, this is a commitment to myself to show up and to do this inner work. And then we can really experience, right, the transformations for sure.
Yeah. And do you still have the Explore Your Divine Blueprint available as a digital course?
I do have that as a digital course as well for the astrology.
Yeah, because that's what I was just going to say, as you were just mentioning the astrology piece, because that's another piece where I felt really lost. You know, I was like, okay, I know I'm a Libra and that's about it. You know, I don't really know anything else. And so Kara had a program, I don't even remember how many months ago it was, but or she did Explore Your Divine Blueprint, and now she offers it as a digital course as well, where she really teaches you what all the signs mean, what all the symbols mean, what your moon means. It teaches you how to explore your chart. And I'm telling you, it was invaluable, because for me, now I feel like I can read my kids' charts, my family's charts. I mean, I can read anybody's charts now because I have access to all this information, and it's all kind of organized in one place, where before I looked at the chart. I don't know if any of you have ever looked up your birth chart, but it's like this mess of symbols, and you're like, what? I'm just going to close that window because I have no idea what that means. So she really walks you through step by step and teaches you what it's all about, and gives you that personal assistance too if you have questions about your specific chart.
Yeah, it's our divine blueprint, right? It's amazing when we're able to tap into that and like go so much deeper than our zodiac sign, but really sink into our life path, our life journey, our soul gifts. And like you said, once you know how to read your chart, I find we all want to start with our birth chart, because we're like, I want to understand myself. Of course, I want to understand my journey. And then from there, we dive into wanting to be able to read other people's, whether it's our children or our partners. And it just takes our relationships to a whole new level, because we start to understand where the other person is coming from. And when we can do that, that builds compassion, because we're so used to just kind of seeing the world through our eyes, and we all have a unique energy. But when we study astrology, we realize, oh, that person isn't even seeing the situation the same way as me. This is how they're looking at it. And it can't help but strengthen the relationship when we know that, and foster love for that person, I find, and just like admiration for, oh, it's so cool. Like they have this in their chart, and they have this gift, and this is how they see the world. And it's really amazing for what it does for not only understanding yourself and your powers, but your relationships in your life.
I love that so much. That's so right on too, because when I was in the Explore Your Divine Blueprint course, I remember my husband, who makes fun of me most of the time for doing all of this stuff that I do. He's such a Virgo. And so I remember, I don't know, we were in some kind of minor tiff about something. And I was like, well, that's because of your Virgo under. He goes, oh, don't start with that stuff. And so I started telling him about it, and he was like, that's pretty right on. But for me, it did allow me to have some compassion for, understanding that's an area where he really thrives. And that's an area that's, very comfortable for him, and that really resonates with who he is. And it's outside of his comfort zone to do X, Y, and Z, even if it's within my comfort zone. And getting into the nitty gritty of that really helped me understand not only myself, but the people in my life at a deeper and, like you said, more compassionate level.
Definitely. That's funny, because my husband's a Virgo too, and he's very much can question some of this stuff too. I'm like, it's okay. Like, I understand your chart, Virgo, Gemini. You're going to be in the space of the mind. And that's the beauty in that, right? The beauty of like some of that, the perfectionism, and just how he sees the world in a different way. It does foster compassion and understanding, and more from judgment to just like curiosity and appreciation. And that's so cool to be able to have that.
We used to have that argument where I'd be like, you're so OCD. He's like, I am not OCD. Right. Now I know you're just a Virgo. Krista's saying us Virgos. Sorry, Laura.
I know. I love Krista. I love the Virgo energy, though, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Virgos.
Even in my life, I really do. It's just not my energy. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit? I know that you have a program that you've was really channeled to you, right? That you came up with called the Divine Creator. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like and what that's?
Yes, I'm excited for that, because that is my newest digital course, and it is called Divine Creator, Step into Your Dream Future Now. And I'm so passionate about it because it is, I guess it's my newest program. So it's that culmination of all the skills and tools and energy work I've done to this point that I'm going to be able to share in that program to help people really create those shifts and realize, because something that's so important to me, like I know as kids, we have all these dreams, right? About who we are, what we want to accomplish in our life. We have these dreams, and then we go through life, and sometimes it's like we sacrifice them. We let them go, or we settle. And I don't think we're here to settle. We're not here to sacrifice. If we have a dream in our heart, we're meant to live it. It's put in our heart for a reason. So basically, this course is giving you all the tools you need to step into that dream life and really dig deep and actually define what that is for you. Because sometimes we think we want to live a certain life or have things be a certain way, but when we actually go back to our soul level, that all changes. changes. So that's going to be a big part of it as well, is really getting clear on what you're here to do, what that means, and then how to easily align with that and how to call that in. And it will be mindset stuff. It'll be my favorite energetic work. It will be Akashic explorations that have really helped me more deeply connect to that. So yes, thank you for allowing me to talk and share more about that, because I'm super passionate about it. And yeah, people are just welcome to reach out on Facebook if they want more details on any of the things we talked about, anything that's kind of speaking to their heart or feels right to them. And I'd be happy to pass the information along.
Yeah, where can people find you?
Yes, so spiritualgoddesses.com is my website. There's also free gift there as well. So grab your free gift if you visit spiritualgoddesses.com, or connect on Facebook. Feel free just to follow on Facebook. I have a business page as well where I do a lot, daily cosmic guidance, really, for my astrology lovers, and lots of trainings on co-creation. Yeah, so feel free, just connect on Facebook or check out the website, spiritualgoddesses.com.
Awesome. And if anybody has questions, please feel free to post them for Kara here. And if we don't get to them while we're still live, we can absolutely answer them after the fact as well. Or you can send either of us a message too. One of the things that you just said, Kara, I just wanted to touch on, because you were talking about how, you know, when you were talking about the Divine Creative Program you kind of don't know sometimes what is my goal, or where am I going, or what is my path, you know? And what I find is when I go into the Akashic Records, no matter what I come in with to the records that I need clarity on, I will get the answer that Spirit wants for me, right? I will get what the stuff that's brought through is whatever it is that we are prepared and ready to integrate at the time. So you never have to feel like when you're in that space, you're unsafe, because Spirit is never going to give you something that you're not prepared to handle or that you're not prepared to integrate. And what I love is it really enhances that level of trust. So it's like, okay, I'm going to enter this space. I'm going to do this program. I'm going to go into the records, whatever it is. And I'm going to trust that whatever comes through is really the healing or the work that I need to be doing right now, even if I'm not consciously aware of it. Because it really helps us remove our ego and think, well, my stubborn human mind might think that I want money, or I want love, or I want this, that, or the other. But Spirit's really going to tell us right now, this is where you need to be.
Yes. Oh, beautifully said. It's so true. That is such a gift that we get in the records. And I think the more we can shift into that space of trust that what comes through is what we need and we're receiving what we need, it's amazing, the changes that unfold. Absolutely. And it's amazing how quickly we can manifest when we actually get back to what we desire, what we really desire on a soul level. Because if we're working on superficial goals, and sometimes we don't realize, like most people are like, I'm choosing to work on these superficial goals. And by superficial, all I mean by that is it's actually not something that's fully aligned on a deep level, like with your heart and soul. It's just kind of a goal you think you should have. So when we get back to what really matters, it flows pretty quickly, because it's easy to align with that. It's easy to align with what our true desires are. It's hard to get in complete full body alignment with something that isn't a true desire for us, or not in our highest and best good. So yeah, it'll really be a lot of shifting into that space of getting that alignment with your soul. And like, yeah, when you can do that, you'll see like the manifestations just flow, because it is meant to be like that. It's meant to be in alignment. We're meant to receive. And once we clear up the rest, it becomes easy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that's what I was just going to say too, is that in the sisterhood, you give us journal prompts every week. And so we can use those so that we can have a daily practice as well of really tuning in to that deeper part of ourselves and getting clarity on, you know, after we shut everything else out and release that other stuff, you know, what is truly there. And so it gives us the tools to be able to really empower us to do it on our own. And the other thing that you sometimes offer are power mantras, which I love. You don't have any power mantras top of mind right now, do you?
I love my power mantras. Yes. And those are the ones I gave out this week for the sisterhood. One that always comes through when people ask, it's probably one of my favorites, is I always like to put my hands on my heart. I say, I embrace my inner goddess. I am strong, powerful, and wise. And I always feel that one so deeply.
Love that. And obviously these are always more powerful when you're saying them out loud, and preferably to yourself when you're looking at yourself, right?
Oh yeah, the mirror work. Yeah.
work, the dreaded mirror work that everybody avoids.
So powerful. Yeah. Or even with tapping, right? Do your power mantras with tapping and then really feel into the energy in your body. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Kara, do you have any other things that you'd like to share with us before we close out today?
This was so much fun. This was so cool to be here. I guess just because I know this is a powerful time to like change and upgrades just energetically that we're going through right now with the eclipse season and all that's happening. So just encouraging people to be really loving and patient and caring with themselves wherever they are on that journey right now. And just that knowingness, like wherever you are, there's so much beauty and so much to be grateful for in this moment. And the more you sink in and feel that, the more joyful life becomes for you. So just remembering that there's lessons, there's blessings, there's really everything you need that's available to you in this moment. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind actually sharing briefly just a little bit of information about the eclipse since it's coming up?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I actually did a video about that. And I started doing more on my YouTube channel too, if anyone wants to check out that, because on my YouTube channel, I was able to pre-record the video and show the chart. So for my astrology lovers or people that want to go deeper, you can actually see the chart for what's happening at the time of the eclipses. But major time of releasing and letting go, especially with this upcoming lunar eclipse on the 16th, we're letting go of a lot of old like karmic patterns. We're kind of releasing soul contracts. We have the energy of Pluto that's really involved with this lunar eclipse. And Pluto is like the planet of power. Like it breaks down, it brings about a death to bring a rebirth. And I think many people felt like they've gone through that. They've gone through like an energetic death of some of like the old ways of doing things, right? Letting go of so much and now just stepping into a future that feels more aligned for them. So lots of releasing, lots of clearing work we can do. That's just very much going to bring us back to our soul path. But it's I feel it's a very powerful time, but also very high energy, high vibration. And as a collective, we're stepping into a new energetic paradigm. I feel like we all kind of know that on a deep level. We're like, okay, we're changing the way we do relationships. We're changing the way we do business. We are changing the way we make money. Like some of those foundational pieces that have been a part of our society are now shifting, and we're doing it all in a new way. And we're all kind of discovering what that's going to look like. So it's an interesting time. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I see that upgrade as well, just generally. Absolutely. And can you recommend, any daily practices that either you do or that other people could do right now just to kind of help themselves during this eclipse time or, times when they're trying to figure out and manage their own energies?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely the tapping, of course. Tapping, like you had mentioned, the power of our breath. Anytime, usually if we are, not that we don't experience anxiety in our body, but usually if we're feeling overwhelmed or kind of panicky, sinking into our body can actually help. So just taking those few deep breaths to really ground into your body and just be grounded in the moment. We can really sometimes snowball things and we get too caught in the future. It's like, just bring it back to the moment, do your breathing, do your tapping, connect to your body, connect to what you're needing in the present. And it's all more manageable when we bring it back to the now and we remember the power that we have in the now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know that one of the things that I actually just did a post on this the other day because I realized there's really only a few things. I get so overwhelmed sometimes about, I want to make sure I do this today and this today and this today to keep myself centered, right? And then I get stressed about being centered, right? So I'm actually very simple, and I was like, let me just write this down. And I was like, well, I like to read. So I want to read at least 10 minutes a day. I have to get outside. That really grounds me. It really clears my energy. So going outside, even if it's 5 minutes, I used to think, oh, I need to go outside for an hour. I need to go for a long walk or whatever. But even if it's 5 minutes just to be outside. And the other one was walking, even if it's for 10 minutes, right? So if you add it all up, it maybe equals a half an hour. And you swoop, you can do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes middle of the day and then 10 minutes at the end of the day,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And what came to mind as you were saying that too, Laura, is just like asking ourselves what fills us up, what brings me joy, which sounds like what you were doing. And I love that because sometimes we can have other people say like, you got to do the meditation or the grounding or the tapping. It's like, but actually just do what fills you up, what feels the most joyful. And if you can just ask that question and you know you have these different tools to draw on, like you're all set. Because it's also just going back to like, I know I have the answers within me. I know my body is wise. I'm a wise soul. What is it that I'm needing in this moment? And then having the courage to really trust what comes through and to honor that and make that a priority.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I also feel like, you know, my ideas of what I need change, you know, and they change based on what space I'm in. So right now, that's what I'm focused on. Whereas a couple months ago, I was like the journaling queen. I mean, I'm still a journaling queen, but, you know, do I do it every day? Yes, I do. But maybe that's just become so automatic for me. And I need to set intentions to do the other stuff like more obviously so that I push myself to do it. But that's why I love doing shows like this, so that people do get an idea of all of those tools they have access to, so that regardless of what space you're in, you can think, oh, what comes top of mind? Oh, I want to do this, this, and this. But you have a bunch of stuff that you can choose from. So regardless of what space you're in, you have access to your resources and you can use them.
Oh, I love that. So powerful. The more tools we have, I think the more empowered we feel as well when we go through challenging times. We're like, okay, I'm going through this time, but wait, I have all these tools. I have resources. I do know how to shift my energy. And just that knowingness, it brings so much hope and helps us shift more quickly. It's like, I don't have to be stuck. I do have tools I can draw on. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that comment by Laura.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I always love spending time with you. I could talk to you all day long.
This was fun. Thank you.
So fun. And guys, please just go visit Kara on spiritualgoddesses.com and grab your free gift. And please feel free to share this video out so that you can get your name put into a hat to win a free session with me. Teresa Warren was our winner for this week, so I will send you a private message. And we would be happy to answer any questions you guys have. You can either put comments below or send us private messages. And thank you so much again for joining us, Kara.
Thanks. This was so fun.
Have an awesome day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.